I'm just starting the live streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see, is that working? Think so.
How many people do you usually get on live stream?
Zero.
Really? That's
But
funny.
but
Okay. It
it
enables
it
like,
it, it records the video, so that's nice.
oh, okay. Okay.
Oh no.
What?
Yeah. I have the wrong title for the live stream.
Oh, fix it. Yep.
Let me see if I can fix it.
Do you hear any more from Stan?
No.
No, he tried to reach me last week, but we never contacted.
Oh, okay. It's good to know he's still kicking.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, update titles. Okay. So it's Carolyn, Helen, Carol. Let's see. Where did I? Oh, Canva. Yep.
Dan, where did you find her?
I don't remember. I think I saw her on a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Oh, I now have the dopamine book in my Kindle library. Haven't read it yet, but I have it there.
Dopamine book. There's a book of
Dopamine
it.
Nation.
Oh, Dopamine Nation.
Yeah, that was Anna Lemke's book.
Oh.
That was a fascinating talk. That link that you sent us.
Oh, yes, yes. So you went out and got her book.
Oh yeah, oh, yeah.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I thought that was fascinating too.
Mm-hmm. I love that concept that if you're not addicted yet, you will be.
Oh, scary.
Yeah. Well, there are some addictions that are not so bad. So actually, what I'm going to be doing in February is I'm going to stop doing all of my games that I play for the month and see how addicted I have become to those.
Do you mean video games?
Yeah, yeah, but
Oh,
they're not these action video games. They're all words and numbers and logic.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Like Wordle.
exactly. I'm doing very well with Wordle and a number of other games, and I play with other people on certain games, like Words with Friends and Wordsy. That's one of my favorites, Wordsy.
Hmm.
But I'm going to take a month off and see if I have withdrawal symptoms.
Well, if it's an addiction, you will have withdrawal symptoms.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, I quit a number of things and there were withdrawal symptoms with each one.
Really. Mhm.
Some harder than others, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Especially with
Mhm.
the cravings to get back into it.
Yep, yep. So what do you think about this ruling on the Supreme Court did on TikTok?
Oh yeah, a lot of people like what do we have like over 100,000 people in America who use it or something, or a million
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
and
yeah,
especially young people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cleaned and stitched by hand. Some designed 2 years.
Oh, hi, Liza.
Um,
Did they
Hi.
completely did they completely get rid of TikTok? Hi, Liza, sorry.
um,
I'm not certain about the whole thing, but yeah.
Hello, Carolyn. Now, would you prefer Carrie or Carolyn?
You can call me Carrie, that's fine. I was trying to get in to change it to Caroline, but you can call me Carrie.
Oh, hey, if you're gonna change it to Caroline, I'll help you change it to Caroline.
Thank you.
Let me see. Okay. Caroline. There you
There you
go.
go. Nice.
Thank
All right.
you.
We're
So
done.
let's see. Who wants to help me co-facilitate today? Any hands? Anyone? Anyone?
how do you do that?
It's like
What
hosting,
it,
except it's co-hosting.
oh, um, can I for like a little while? Because I'm gonna probably have to run part way. Can I co-host like for my first time ever on a Zoom, like for a little while? And then
Sure, sure.
oh, Dan, that's so
And
exciting.
Cecilia, I'll make you co-host as well.
Okay.
So, Caroline will start in like 5 minutes, okay? All right, let's see.
I'm excited.
Who said that?
Me, who do you think, Dan?
Oh, you said that. Oh, very good.
Who would say? Dumb. Did everyone know that Dan Frey is the coolest person ever?
Oh, yeah, I invited Liza to promote my ego today. Thank you,
Everybody at
Liza.
Fountain House, everybody at Fountain House already knows like what I say.
Liza, I bless you.
No, you blessed me like I'm like every time I go in the elevator, I'm like, oh, what unit are you in? They say like if they say communication, whatever they say, I'm like, oh, so you know Dan Frey. Yeah.
Oh, Fountain House is a very friendly, small little world.
It's a big world, actually. It's a big world.
It's a big world after all.
Uh,
Oh, okay. Now let's see. Hello everyone. Hello. Oh, hi Mika. Mika, how you doing? Mika, um, Mika, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell everyone how we met and what you'd like to do for this group and like who you are and stuff like that, please.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Dan. My name is Mika. I'm here in Central Florida, in Orlando, Florida, and I met Dan by applying to like help co-facilitate the group. With my background, I'm a behavior technician working with kids diagnosed with autism, and also I am a certified meditation teacher. So I've been in kind of like the spiritual space for at least 10 years, and working with somatic practices and things like that. So this group really interested me, and I'm looking forward to taking part.
Thank you, Mika. That was great. But I know you're gonna hang back and observe today, right? All right, very good, very good. So yeah, so I put an ad on Idealist for a spirituality group co-facilitator. I know we have Cecilia, but we don't always have Cecilia, and we're losing Stan. But oh, by the way, Cecilia,
yeah.
Harvey was in touch with Stan last week.
Oh, good.
So he's alive.
I knew he was.
How did you know?
I I his phone number still works. You can still call it.
Oh, okay.
So I'd assume that if he'd passed or anything like that, that the phone would be turned off and such, or I don't know, what have you. Did you
Okay,
just call? Did you just call him Stan? I'm sorry.
Harvey.
Harvey. You're muted.
He actually called me. Well, I called him first, and then he called me back. And I thought we were going to be doing telephone tag, but after that, he never called.
Oh.
And yeah, but yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hello, Tiffany. Hello, Mika. Hello, Kira. Oh, hello, Kira. Hello, Yvonne. Welcome to Spirituality Group. This is going to be an amazing group. Mika, I remember you mentioned that you wanted to be an author, and here we are. Lo and behold, we have an author that is going to present today. Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you.
Oh, we'll start in 2 minutes, okay, Caroline? We'll wait for some stragglers. Usually I start at 11:35 Eastern. All right, and then I'll introduce you, so don't worry, you'll get your introduction, and then you'll know when to go. All right. So we have a pretty good group here, pretty sizable group here. Wonderful, wonderful. Hello, Ananda, Angela.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Yvonne. Hi.
Oh,
Chaplain
hello.
James. Chaplain James and Carolyn and let's see, Bonnie and Frank and Harvey and Tiffany. Welcome everyone. And I already said hi, Liza, so I'm not leaving you out. And of course Cecilia, who's our co-host with Mika and Liza is actually co-host too today, so this is really cool.
You left Kira out, Dan.
I did. Oh my God! But you said Kira, so
you were going.
Yeah,
I know. I can't see everybody, so I don't know. Gonna have to fix that.
Yeah. All right, it's 11:35, so I'm gonna start the introduction to Caroline Allen. Now let me just hey, maybe I can like share this screen just for a second while I read this. All right, I hope you guys can see that. All right, so Carolyn Allen is a former London journalist and she experienced a mystic awakening in the 90s, gaining the ability to read minds, see souls, and foresee the future. Returning to the US, she studied shamanism, tarot, Reiki, and past life regression to understand and manage her gifts. Over time, she became a healer and channeled her abilities into writing and visual art, publishing 4 award-winning mystic novels. Her middle grade novel about an empathic child launches on January 28th, you guys. That's like next week. And she now works as an artist from her yurt in rural Oregon. Now, you'll have to explain what a yurt is to us. As a book coach and healer, Carolyn has helped thousands align with their creative purpose. In 2025, she will launch The Opening, an online program to teach participants how to channel their gifts, connect with guides and ancestors, and live with purpose. Welcome, Caroline. Please, you may amend that, or if I made any mistakes, you can correct me. But everyone, please mute yourself except for Carolyn. And Carolyn, go right ahead. It's our pleasure.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me here. Whenever you're faced with a new group, you just kind of, I didn't really prepare. So I just thought I would just talk, and I think that's perfect for this group. Thank you. I love being here. So I will just tell a quick story of my journey. And then I really love to know what you guys want to know and what questions you guys have. more than just to talk about myself. But so I grew up on a subsistence farm in rural Missouri, and my parents had no more than like a third grade education, and we hunted and gathered. So I spent my childhood feral and have butchered many animals and have hunted. I wanted nothing more than to get out, and so I studied very hard to get a full ride scholarship to university. But I didn't just want out of Missouri. I wanted out of the United States. And no one had ever been abroad. So I just saved every penny. And at the age of 20, bought a round trip ticket to Tokyo because I thought Japan was the farthest place I could go to get away from America. But it was also an introduction then when I lived in Japan. I worked for newspapers there, but it was sort of a deeper, unconscious, subconscious introduction into Eastern philosophy. And that would affect me greatly for the rest of my life. Little did I know it at the time in my 20s. I traveled Southeast Asia for a year with a backpack. And the first moment of spiritual opening happened in the Himalayas when I was hiking. I was sitting on a rock, and I was a journalist, had trained to be a journalist, but you know how we all know we are meant for something greater. We have that knowing that we were meant for something greater. And I knew journalism, I wanted to speak truth to power, and that's why I became a journalist, but it wasn't it. Then you got into the sticky thing of what is truth and what is power. So I was grappling with that, and I was about 27 years old at this time. And I said to the universe on this rock over the Kali Gandaki River with Annapurna in the distance, I'm ready. Note to self, I was not ready. Because within 2 years, I was a journalist in London after this. One of the places, the last place was the Financial Times. And I had an intense mystic opening at the Financial Times, and I'll quickly tell the story. I was in the lobby. A friend had been in the British equivalent of the Peace Corps, and she had just been to the Himalayas herself. She worked with severely autistic children, and she was climbing into mountain village homes through their windows to get to the autistic children who were locked in a room while the parents went to work. And these are like huts, right? And she had just come back from doing this work, working with these children in the mountain villages of the Himalayas. And she was meeting me in the Financial Times lobby. So I'm in the lobby, and it's all steel and leather and right on the Thames. And there was the monitors that had the Nikkei index and all the little colored lines. And she walked in a Nepalese jacket, and there was a stitch on the jacket that was glowing. Now, later I would understand that some enlightened older woman in a Himalayan village had stitched this jacket. At the time, all I knew was this stitch. And it was the stitch that completely blew me open. And only later did I realize I had told the universe in the Himalayas I was ready. At the time, I was just living by moment to moment and didn't know what the hell was going on. And at that moment, I didn't know what was happening. I just felt like this. And then over the next few weeks, months, years, I started to see I could read people's minds, and I could see their futures, and I got visions of what was to come, visions of all the stuff that's happening now. But I did not want this gift at all. I would rather do anything than have this gift. I thought psychics were losers. I thought they were rednecks. I came from that. And I thought like I'd have to live in a trailer park and drink a tall neck beer and have a cigarette dangling from my lips and a kid in a poopy diaper and a playpen. I just had this vision of what it meant to be a psychic, as you can see. And I did not want it at all. So I ran from it, and I ran from it, and I ran from it, and nothing was going well. I returned to the States, and I learned the stuff it said in there, shamanism and Reiki and past life regression. And it took a while for all the energies to align. So then they aligned, And this is the part about writing and the creative force for me, and it's unique for every person. So now I've worked with thousands of people, so I can speak to this very differently than my origin story. But what happened for me was my body was just a vibrating tension, and I could not find contentment even when I started using the gift to help people. And it was only when I realized that I was a massive sponge, and only through the creative act of art and writing, and this was a journey, could I wring out the sponge onto the canvas and onto the page. And it was at that moment that I really, then the leap happened into finding what I would call purpose for me. And again, I want to stress, helping so many people, it is, no one should tell you how it's going to look for you, because it looks very different, very differently. It's very unique. And that's the difference between the mainstream notion of, every, industrial revolution, when everything the same, creating everything that's the same. I'm not using the right words here, but in the spiritual realm, it is so profoundly unique how it expresses, and how, not only how it expresses, but how you express with it, how you relate to it. So I started kicking and screaming again. I have never done anything easily. I started writing. Oh my God, I was kicking and screaming. I had a therapist at the time in Seattle. I just could not imagine writing. There were too many monsters. Once I opened that door, too many monsters would get out. The childhood I had was extremely difficult, and I was doing everything I could to not have to revisit it. And she suggested, I was sobbing in her office, I can't be a writer, I can't, too many monsters. And she suggested I build a cage, because I like to build things, put it under my desk and open it to let the monsters out while I was writing, and close it at the end of the writing session. And that cage I went to Lowe's or whatever, got the stuff, built the cage, and it stayed under my desk for 13 years. And it was only much later that I realized the monsters were me. I thought they were someone else. So I realized it was my unexpressed emotions, unlooked at emotions, and they felt monstrous to me, like they could eat me alive. But at any rate, so slowly but surely, I started writing short stories, started having a group of other powerful mystic women around me, and still have these women around. And one of them did a shamanic journey and said, oh, the short stories are a novel. And then it became a series. And I'm just holding up one. I don't have all of them here, but this is like, so they came to me in the middle of the night after I had the shamanic journey with a friend. I woke up in the middle of the night, and this is what I mean by how this manifests for people so uniquely, because this is going to sound maybe wackadoo, I don't know. But a ball of light came in front of me as I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was told the title and the content of the first book, Earth. And then it whooshed and went into my third eye. And then another ball of light, air, fire, water. So in one night, I got a spiritual download of 4 of the 5 books. And this is air. I just have a copy of it. And so it would take a long time after that to actually sit and write what I was given, and turn it from spiritual download to physical book. And that's another thing I'm really fascinated with, is the level of energy up here and how it comes through you, and how to manage your body, your physical health and your mental health and your emotional health, while you're tapped into this level of energy, which is something else. So the most recent one, I decided to, it's called Blue, too. I decided to revisit, what would it have been like if I was a mystic little girl who had been nurtured by the parents? What would that story look like? Started writing it, and it's a single mother, and it's not it's really, this is very semi-autobiographical. This is not, it's fiction, but I gave her a single mother named Sarah, who's an artist, and Sarah absolutely could not handle her. Even though I wrote it with the intention that the mother would be good, that's not how it wanted to be written. It wanted to be written where the mother would be challenged. The mother wasn't bad, but she was very challenged by this child. And so I'm happy with it. It turned out how it was supposed to, because books will take on a journey of their own. So for those of you who want to write books, the part of my journey then became, I was a channeler for 13 years in Seattle. I channeled for probably, I think I counted 8,000 people, both in person and online, on Zoom or Skype before that. And it was too much. It was taking too much for me. So I decided to transition to book coaching, and I still use the gifts. So I'm a book coach now. That's how I make most of my money. And I work with people who have had spiritual openings. So I have a rabbi who had a sudden psychic opening that I'm working with. I have a woman with MS who's a whale scientist who had a sudden psychic opening. And I'm helping them express that on the page. So, oh, you want to know what a yurt is, Dan? Dan, you want to know what a yurt is?
Yes.
So, okay, so it's a Mongolian structure. It began in Mongolia, and they're the portable round homes, in the Mongolian homes that are round, that they could move as they migrated. And now on the west coast of the US, they're everywhere. Like they're yurt yoga studios, and they don't look like the Mongolian ones. They're manufactured in a certain way. And so for my 50th birthday, I gave myself a yurt in the woods, and we had a yurt raising, and it's my art studio.
Oh, do you live there? Do you live in this yurt?
No, a lot of people do. A lot of people do. I don't. So.
All right. Well, that was a wonderful introduction to you, Carolyn, and to your work. If anyone feels the spirit moving them to ask a question, oh, we have some hands already. If you could raise your hand, or you could simply unmute yourself. But we like hands here, especially because it's so polite. So, Harvey, go ahead.
Well, I was very moved by your comments about going to Japan to start your journey. It kind of reflects the work of Philip Shepard. Are you familiar with his work? He left Canada at around the age of 18, went to England, bought himself a bicycle, and biked all the way down to Japan. And it was specifically about No Theater, NOH Theater, that moved him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've experienced No Theater while you were in Japan.
Yeah, I have.
It's supposed to be very transcendental.
Yeah. Yes.
I've been playing around with a notion that's fascinating me. If you want to understand spirituality, just like the universe, is non-dual. And I think we miss that sometimes. And I think it's a very important concept. So spirituality is non-dual, just like the universe is non-dual. There are no opposites in the universe. There just is isness, if you will. And in spirituality, I believe the same thing is actually true. And so when you're you have the transformation, you move from living in a dualistic life to a non-dualistic life. Yeah, you're getting it. Okay, thank you.
Well, Harvey, what's funny is, since I was little, I often use the isness of things. I use the phrase the isness of things when I work with my clients. I say we're not talking good or bad, it just is. And so it really resonated when you said the isness.
All right. Good first question. Kira, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for being here, Carolyn. Is a little talking kind of low, like you're somebody sleeping. I have a few questions. Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I want to ask, what is a spiritual opening? If you said that. Also, so I'm trying to understand, I guess. Like, do you think because I'm scientific oriented. That's how my brain is, my mind. Um, it, do you think some people are born with? I mean, I think there are studies that some people are born with more sensitivity or something. Like, do you like? I guess some people are born with a higher IQ, or I mean, do do you think you were born with a greater psychic spiritual capacity, or was it something that you worked on? Like thinking like, and I keep trying to understand things in terms of animals, and I think animals are more psychic, or not psychic, but sensitive to things, I think, in some ways than humans. That I'm asking, and also I'm asking the that you like the way you grew up, and this is putting aside the I dysfunction that you mentioned, which I certainly know about personally. It, it sounds like the childhood you had was more in line with how we're probably still hardwired in ways, like hunting, gather. I don't know. I mean, did you want to leave that so much because of this dysfunction, or because like you knew, I guess through television, or that there were other things? Meaning, if you didn't know that there were other ways of life, do you think you would have wanted to leave that way of life as much? It's a lot of questions.
Yeah, Kira.
But thank you for,
Yeah, and thank you, because you're helping me. You've said a few things that even are making me open to looking at things differently. So I really never think I have all the answers, even for myself, and especially not for everyone else. Truly. That's the big humbling that happens when you have this, the great humbling. So I wrote them down, and I'm just going to go through them. The first thing is, all of the people I work with had the spiritual opening happen suddenly. So the rabbi is an academic, and he was high up at a university I won't name. The whale mammologist was a high up scientist at a university I won't name. Both of them had spiritual openings suddenly, as I did. So I will say that I certainly wasn't looking for it, and I don't have the final word on what it is. I know is that there is a veil between worlds, and I'm just on the other side of it now. And I do believe there are other realms, absolutely. But so it also, Kira, this is the thing of me not thinking the way my life is for everyone. That doesn't negate the way you or anyone else here sees the world. And this is the thing of this program that I'm putting together called The Opening, is all about just showing people tools to see which one will work for them, if they choose to say, I want to gather the wisdom that you can get from beyond, I'll call it beyond the veil for now. But I want to say that doesn't just because that's my way doesn't mean the whole, I think of it like a rainforest. I went to the rainforest in South America, and my God, the wildly diverse plants. I think of it, humanity, like that we've got homogenized, but we're extremely diverse. And the whole notion of diversity to me, of course, inclusion of race and gender and sexual identity, of course, all of that stuff. But to me, it also is the diversity of the way we think, and that allowing you to think and be you and flourish in that. And anyway, I'll just say that very clearly, that when I talk about this, I'm not saying, oh, unless you feel I could show you tools that you're interested in. Otherwise, I don't think that the spiritual opening is better or worse than any way anyone lives life. At any rate, so the spiritual opening for me was like there's a veil between worlds, and that veil was gone, and I could see. And even with past life regression now, I can look at people and get an idea of how many past lives led to this life and what their future lives might look like. Like, it's really just opened everything. And it puts you on the fringe of society. I wouldn't recommend wanting this. I tell people I'm so far out on the limb of the tree that I'm afraid it's going to break sometimes. But yeah, so a spiritual opening, I'll just start with your question, because like I said, this could go everywhere. A spiritual opening felt to me like whatever boundaries exist between this world and other realms dissolved suddenly. And it's happened to other clients in different ways. So I understand it's not just me. Yeah. And was I born with more sensitivity? Yeah, I think that I've always been very sensitive. People always came to me for advice, even before the opening happened. So yes, I do. And yeah, and growing up, so I don't know if this is what you're asking, Kira, and you can tell me, but what were you asking about the growing up and that kind of hunter-gatherer?
Sorry about the sirens. Is that distracting? No, it's okay.
No.
It's, oh my God, I'm so tired of the 1 second. Okay, New York City sirens. That you had said that you wanted to get out of there, so strongly. And my idea, I've never been in that kind of life. My idea is that it's more aligned with how we're naturally supposed to be, and like the further we get away from it, the like more depressed we are and stuff like that. And but I think if we know, like I'm thinking of like the country of Bhutan, where their simple way of life, I guess they were considered the happiest country until they got social media or stuff or satellites and saw there was all this other stuff out there, and then a lot of people wanted more. So I guess I'm wondering if you wanted more, if that was because
No, I think I get it,
saw,
Kara.
yeah,
Okay.
or if
Yeah.
there was something fundamentally not healthy about a hunter-gatherer existence.
And no, it's good. It's interesting that you say this. At age 50, I came back to the land after only living in Tokyo, London, Seattle, Boston. I came back to the land. I'm on 80 acres now. I'm surrounded by wild animals. I just saw a cougar the other day, bear. I came back to the land. It wasn't the land. In fact, I really miss the earth. And you're absolutely right. It is so nurturing and fundamental to my mental health right now. But it was the way women were treated in my family and in Missouri. And that has to do with, whatever progress humans have made in this twisted world, you know, where I could not take it. Women were absolutely subservient. Absolutely. I was supposed to marry the boy next door and, you know, have lots of children, and women were secondary. And I just, worse than that, I won't go into, but I'm just not, I had to get away from it. At that time, no, we didn't really have much television. I just knew I had to get out. So thank you.
Thank you, Kira. That was those were good questions. Now I see you, Harvey. Don't worry, I see you. But before we go to Harvey, I just wanted to say hi, Jenny Hart. And you just seem like so attentive with your facial expressions. I was wondering if you had anything you would like to say, but you would have to unmute yourself.
Well, I'm delighted to hear more of Caroline's story. I know her in a different capacity. We're both artists, and I'm fascinated by opening myself more to spirit, so that I can be a better conduit in my art. And I know that Caroline has any number of tools that will help me in that. So I'm already signed up on her opening. And I'm a well-wisher.
Oh, well, you mentioned you were fascinated by Carolyn's story, her journey. Do you have any questions for her? Jenny Hart?
Yes. No, I'm aware that you're talking to me.
Oh, yes.
Formulating the question. Thank you. So I have had mystical experiences before, but I don't know that I've had what you would call an opening. And maybe I have rose-colored spectacles when you say it's overwhelming. Could you tell us more about that?
Thanks, Jenny. Thank you. It's nice to see you. I just want to say that the program that I'm going to run to give people tools includes how to manage it so it doesn't happen all at once. And for people who have an opening, they know I mean, not like, so it's overwhelming because all of the lies are clear immediately. So I'll give you an example. I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't think about success the same anymore at all. At all. And even within my industry of coaches, so I have a lot of coach friends, their success is, I have this important client. Look how successful I am. I am attracting important clients. And for me, the most important clients, like, or whatever, not even see, and then here I get into my own. I'm not 100% healed in all of this success stuff myself, I'll admit it. But for example, my client who stays in my heart, it was my first book client who was a prostitute. And she told her story. And it's not about her story then making it in the world, and no, Simon and Schuster is publishing it. It's more the level of profound healing we both engaged in together. And so the opening, and the reason it's overwhelming, Jenny, is that everything becomes clear too suddenly. Food, I had to change my diet, the food industry, the way animals are treated, and I could almost sob now the way we're treating animals that we eat. So stopped eating animals. I grew up butchering animals, and it was such a brutal childhood. And then I realized with the food industry how pure, Kira, to speak to what you were saying, how pure that was. We met the animal, we killed it, we skinned it, right? Whatever. But so Jenny, it was overwhelming for that. And even in the 90s, when I had that, I also saw that gender identity and everybody like heteronormative was so absurd. So you see everything on a completely new level, but suddenly. So every day you wake up and go, "Pooh," it still happens now, but I know how to manage it better, but it doesn't happen all at once. It was like every lie we've been told came suddenly clear, but also then I would be sitting at a dinner party talking to this guy about his divorce, commiserating, because I went through a divorce, commiserating, and he's looking at me in horror because he's never talked to anyone about his divorce. So I thought he said it out loud, and he did not say it out loud. So I became really popular. Not at any rate, that's why it was overwhelming. And I would say that most people, like you having the mystic things, you'll kind of close it, right? Like most people go, close that, and they're right, because it's so overwhelming. So what I do in the opening is just attracting people who want the tools. It's not about telling anyone what to believe. That's their own unique path. But here's a tool. Now let's watch and see, does that work for you? Does that align for you, or does it not? And is it overwhelming? Okay, I can teach you the path to not be overwhelmed. But the reason some of these tools are really good for mental health, I wanted to say this really quickly too, is for example, I just wrote a memoir. It's at the editor now, and I have, been through it myself, almost murdered twice. And I was writing about it, and oh my God, I truly had been through so much therapy. I had no idea I was so triggered. Oh my God, I was so triggered. I can do a shamanic journey. And in a shamanic journey, it's a visualization meditation. It's not like a guided visualization, but I won't say more now. It's too complicated. And you go on a journey to meet a guide. I went to the rainforest, and there was a woman healer. And I went to her, and she held me. And I came out of the trigger. And this is why the tools are also really powerful right now for mental health, but you have to find the one that works for you. So I won't keep speaking if somebody else wants to.
Okay, now before we'll go to Mika first and then Harvey. So go ahead, Mika.
Yes. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi,
yeah,
Mika.
I just have a question, and I don't mean to keep asking about the opening, but also I was curious as to your the relationship between an opening, enlightenment, and gaining access to more to your intuition. Because I have learned how more powerful, like the more you can tap into your intuition, the more you're tapping into your inner light and your inner being, and coming into that thing of how I think what you described, kind of like the veil. And then my second question, it's just two questions, like how did you gain, or what was the process of becoming more comfortable in working with people and expressing your gifts? Yeah, that was kind of like my question, because you did mention how sometimes people might feel, especially in my circles in yoga, they always say that they don't want to get woo-woo, and I'm like, I wish people would stop saying they don't want to be too woo-woo. But also it's like the deeper you're able to go is like the more transformation you're able to experience. So what was the process? I think you mentioned like going to therapy, but I'm more interested, I guess, in the internal process of really fine-tuning your courage or confidence and using your abilities to help others.
So Mika, the first thing I would say is don't be courageous and don't be confident. Be scared and be low self-esteem. That I would put that on a billboard to everyone, because that's what creates the transformation for the people. Like right now, talking to you, I'm a little nervous because I've decided I'm going to let go of the veil right now. I can't keep using the same word for two different things. Let go of anything I'm pretending to be, you know? So it's different for different people. You would find your own way. I'll talk about what I did, but I truly believe like I worked with this guy, the rabbi yesterday, and I'm just like messing up. I'm not using the right words. He's very high academia, and I'm like not. And the goal is for that person you're working with. The goal, if you set your intention that I want that the rabbi to truly flourish. I truly want him to flourish. It doesn't matter the confidence or any of it. You just show up weak need. And because I would say that to anyone, if you're trying to build something, just show up and make sure your intention is pure for the other person, and be generous of spirit is a phrase I use. A lot of people aren't in Western culture. They're very non-generous. I'm not going to give it. You got to give me more money. And I do the opposite, like super generous of spirit. But then my own journey was, many years long. I have done so much healing with therapists, but also with spiritual healers, with body workers, with acupuncturists, with crystal healers, with normal psychotherapists. So I've taken that as a lifetime journey doing my own work. The moment it turned for me to start working with people, I was in Seattle and I was doing everything. I was resisting before. I stopped resisting. I said, okay, universe, I'm stopped resisting. What do you want? And I would do everything and I was still unhappy. And I remember the pivot when the universe said, you have to give it away. If you don't give it away, you will never be happy. And that pivot, I started going and doing free events. I do a lot of free events, and my intention is truly just, how can I help? And then humble, how can I help? And then in one of these free events, the first client, the woman who was a prostitute, came to me and said, could you help me write my book? And I said yes, and she paid me. And then within a month, I had a full roster of people come. So, but to me, in the spiritual realm, especially, your intention just has to be to truly help the other person and be as pure as it can be. And don't worry about the courage and the confidence. Just show up like you are right now and just be. You have lovely energy. Did you have another one?
No, I was just saying thank you.
Oh,
Did I answer it, Mika, though? Did I answer it or no?
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, I think you touched on a lot of points and some things, and anyways, yes.
Okay.
Yes. But my other question was still about the relationship between enlightenment and opening.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right. So I think of intuition. I think of this a lot. So I would call my opening enlightenment first. Let's start with that. I think it's an opening, and so I get all this information, but I would have a lot more work to do on myself for that to then reach enlightenment. But I do think of it as supersized intuition. So intuition is you go in and you get a sense of things from the clues in the environment. Psychicness is you don't have to have clues in the environment to get the information. And it's usually, intuition is more metaphoric, softer. The psychic hit is very specific. For example, I have a stationary bike. I don't have a stationary bike. I have a bike and I wanted to turn it into a stationary bike. I went online and the Google was like $200, the thing you attach it to. And the universe said, go to this thrift store, go down this aisle, go to the right, bottom shelf. It's hidden in the back and you'll find the same thing. So it was $200 online. I found it for $19.99 at the thrift store. So that's right. You wouldn't call that intuition, right? That's a level. It's just intuition on acid or something. So.
Does that make sense, Mika? Does that answer your question?
It does. Yes. It does.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, if you think of something else later on, Mika, please just let me know. Harvey, let's go back to Harvey.
Hi there, Caroline. You said two words that literally jumped out at me, and the first was your comments about veils, and the other one was about overwhelm. So in 1974, I read a book by Abraham Maslow called Religions, Values, and Peak Experiences. And what he said in the book, and I truly believe this, we all have had peak experiences, not only just once, but many, many times in our lives. Most people find the awe of peak experience to be so overwhelming for them that they discount it, because they're also afraid of getting off the normative path of life, you know. And Philip Shepard talks about that very much. He just basically says, if I would have gone on that path, it would have been a form of death for me, a living death. And so he recognized that he had to do something outside of the norm. And actually, we were very fortunate to have something that Dan gave us a link a while back to Martha Beck. And Martha Beck says something really powerful in that to be an authentic human being, you have to be anti-cultural. In any case, my particular gift, I guess, is taking words and exploring them. So the word peak has two other homophones to it. The first one is P-E-E-K. And immediately I recognize that this is a peak beyond the veil. The veil is opened up, you've gotten a peak, and you close it very quickly and say, I don't want that. Or you go and you say, oh my gosh, this is something, maybe it piques my curiosity. So we have three peaks there, and they're all very much connected. So that was one of the things that really connected with me when you said that. The overwhelmed part, I felt overwhelmed all my life. And I recognized with Philip Shepard, and again, he's fairly new in my life. He's about a year old now in terms of reading his book, Radical Wholeness. But what he says is he comes up with a definition of intelligence that is very different from what we call intelligence. Our intelligence that we rely on is abstract thinking. And he's saying, no, there's something much more powerful than that. And so he defines intelligence as grounded sensitivity. Grounded sensitivity. So you can't be too sensitive, but you can be too ungrounded. And that's where that issue comes up. And I view enlightenment as a what would I call it? A process rather than something that's ever finished. The awakening is a moment, or what you're calling what's the term that you're using?
The opening.
The opening. Yeah, opening, awakening. That happens in a flash. That's that peak experience, if you will. And then life keeps on building on that. But there'll be no end to enlightenment, as far as I'm concerned. The knowledge that the self-knowledge that we develop as a result of that awakening is how shall I put it? That self-knowledge is much more important than the other knowledge, the knowing that's outside of us, if you will, to use the dualism.
Yeah. And Harvey, I say this a lot. What you're saying really resonates, and I will get the Philip Shepard stuff. I will start reading it because other clients are looking for help as well. So it wouldn't just be for me. So thank you for that. But I say this a lot, that I was paid a great deal of money for my brain. when I was before. And for me, this is what, when I coach people, the brain needs to be the servant of the soul and the spirit and the sensitivity, like grounded sensitivity is not like, and society will pay you much more for this, right? And so my journey was also flipping that script, that the brain is in service to my intention, not, oh, look how smart I am. Oh, in conversation, you can beat people down with how smart you are, right? And it was a journey for me to what is intelligence? I had to ask myself, what does it mean to be intelligent? Yeah.
All right, you guys,
thank you. Thank you. I'm being called to something else now, so I'm going to leave
That's
it today.
all right, Harvey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey.
Thank you. Thanks, Harvey.
Okay.
All right, John from Nigeria. Are you there, John from Nigeria? Let's ask him to unmute. John, can you hear me, John?
Yes, I'm here. I
All
can hear you.
right. Oh, good, good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, doing great.
Oh, good, good, good. Now, can you tell us something about yourself, John? Introduce yourself.
Okay. I don't know what to say. Good day, everyone. My name is John. I'm married. I have a kid. I'm also I'm educationalist. I'm into tutoring people about government and how society works. I love making impact. I like helping people. I enjoy it. And also, I'm interested in learning every day.
What have
That's
you
my fun
learned
person.
from Caroline today?
Yeah, you see, the time schedule, I was actually finding it difficult to get the time, but fortunately for me, I joined in late. But to an extent, I was able to get one or two she was talking about little stories and all of them. But I believe next time I will get it better because I didn't start with them.
All right, John. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you were able to make it. And in the future, we'll actually feature you as a guest speaker. Okay?
That would be great.
All right. Let's see. Now, Chaplain James, you usually have something to say. Go ahead, Chaplain James.
I was trying to listen. No, Caroline. I put my information. I sent my information to you. I think we should talk. You are very interesting, but it seems just like when you was coming to a point, somebody would interrupt you, and it would stop my flow of learning. Oh my God. But anyway, I think you're very interesting, and I'd like to talk to you more in detail.
Thank you, Chaplain James. Is there one area?
Just because you feel, I believe you go about this the same way I do. It's about helping the people and helping them discover things that they have but don't realize. That's what I feel. Most people they have this but they don't use it because they're too caught up in society ways and going along society norms and trying to be what society would want them to be, let's say. That's what stops a lot of people, and you have to separate yourself from that to find out your true self. That's
Yeah.
what I believe.
When I'm working with people, James, I can see how truly beautiful the soul is, like truly beautiful. And
Yeah.
they can't see it. They can't see it. It's self-criticism that society has taught them, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe a lot of that. And And yeah, it's trying to live up to other people's expectations instead of your own. So many of us are caught up in that, you know. We ruin ourselves most of the time. But I like hearing you, and I see you have basically found your way as I have found my way.
Yeah. 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 To me, it's definition of success that I said when I had my spiritual opening, it's completely different. So if I look at my childhood issue and I have some healing around it, that's profound success. Society sees the car I drive and maybe thinks I don't have success. And that's where people get very confused. They're misunderstanding success. They're really misunderstanding.
Yes. You have to separate that. You have to realize and understand what you truly want instead of what other people think you should have. And until you do that, you're not really happy.
Amen, Chaplain James. Thank you for that bit of wisdom. Now,
Thank you.
Bonnie Shell, you have been active in the chat. You want to, I know I see you, Kira, but we're going to get to some people who haven't spoken yet, and then we'll get back to you. But Bonnie Shell, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't have my hand up, but I will say that many people who are labeled with serious and persistent mental illness believe, and I do too, that you could be in front of somebody talking or something going on, but you'll have a sense that what they feel is not what they're saying. Or I've seen people in groups and somebody may be across from them who's quiet, and the person with extra abilities or powers or gifts will suddenly say something to them that's what's on their mind. Or you wake up in the middle of the night, you know you need to call somebody and you can feel their body and that something's wrong. And I wondered if things like that are part of what you're talking about.
Yeah, so Bonnie, absolutely. I just woke up in the middle of the night with a message for a friend of mine last night and just sent it this morning to her. So yes, it's just a supersized version of it. But absolutely, absolutely, where there's a whole spectrum of sensitivity, right? And there are people who are more sensitive, who pick up that what the person is saying isn't what they're feeling. Like you'll be talking to someone and they look like death and they're saying everything is okay. And you absolutely know everything's not okay. Absolutely, Bonnie. Yeah.
And the medical profession calls that a delusion.
Yeah, right. Yes.
And there are little children who will suddenly start crying because they're upset about something that the parents have no idea about, that may be somebody else in the room, but they're usually punished, aren't they?
Yeah, so when I had my psychic opening, I absolutely refused to go see at the beginning for the first 3 months. I refused to go see a proper therapist because I knew I would be labeled as having some kind of psychotic break. And I would be labeled, they would define me, they would decide what was going on with me, they would medicate me or worse. And so I went to only spiritual healers at first, until I got it managed because I knew something bigger was going on. But absolutely, this is going on with the academic I'm working with. He had a sudden psychic opening. He works with me and he can't really talk to his colleagues about what's happening.
That's right. It would be the kiss of death for his career.
Exactly. And he's now going towards retirement. So that is his saving grace. But I also think the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and this kind of stuff that I'm doing since the 90s is going to become, and is already becoming, people are looking for answers in alternative ways. So the courage, who was asking about the courage? Mika, when you say courage, the courage was being called over the past 6 months. You've got to step it up, Caroline, you've got to step it up because people are going to be seeking answers. So Bonnie, absolutely. There still will be whole segments of society who would like to, call me crazy and put me in a ward somewhere.
All right. Ananda, you seem to have something on your mind. Go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to say that I'm very sensitive and I pick up a lot of different vibes, and I primarily process through my sensitivity. Just wanted to kind of throw that in.
Ananda, do you mind if I ask, are there any tools or books or anything that you have used to help you honor the sensitive side?
Well, I've been kind of working on myself for the past 20 something years. So I would say I read a lot of different books. I did tarot cards. I did pagan works. I went to different churches, temples, synagogues. Yes, definitely. I was born with initial sensitivity, but I have extensively developed it just because it felt like the right thing to do.
But I just want to point out, Ananda, this is helping validate for me that people need different tools, right? You go on, I call it a walkabout. You kind of go on a walkabout. I'm going to try that tool. I'm going to try that tool. I'm going to try that tool. So it sounds like you did that.
Yes, I did. I did all the tools, and every tool was useful in its own time and place.
Cool. Very cool.
And I really liked your story. You were very encouraging.
Was there one tool is there one tool you use a little bit more than the other, Ananda?
No, I say I utilize everything equally. I'm a multitasker, multi-purposer.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
You too. Namaste.
Yeah.
Tiffany, you've been unusually silent. Do you have anything you'd like to say, Tiffany?
No, I don't. I'm just listening. Thank you, Caroline, for coming today. I like that you made some stories, and that sounds really nice. I like how you asked yourself the question with that one story about, and gave your brain the opportunity to look at what life would have been like. I remember one of my therapists asked me, and this is a tool that I've used as I've moved through life. She asked me, okay, so if you had it to do over again, what would you do now? And so that tool for me has been really, really useful. So I like that you did that with the story, even though the story didn't go in that direction. I like how I assume that you used the opportunity to actually tell your story and to give whatever was a voice right there and say what happened. So I like how you didn't romanticize, but maybe you gave yourself a different brain. And I hope that worked right there for, when we have these relationships with people and they do the things that they do and they're not up to par as parents or adults and things like that. I think that I wonder, when you did that, did it allow you to have that space where you thought about who they could have been and then maybe understand why they weren't? Do you see what I mean?
So who are you talking about specifically, Tiffany? I hear you, but
So when you're talking about the little girl who was not heard, right? I wonder if that little girl in some way was a part of you. And as you went through that world, were you able to find some spots in there that helped you to make resolve with the adults who were unable to,
Tiffany, this is really good because having the opening and having that spiritual psychiness doesn't necessarily change the fact that you have to go through all the personal processing of your stuff. You can use the tools, but you still have to go through all the personal processing. For me, all of the semi-autobiographical series, as well as this one, what happens for me with past life regression is an understanding that the mother is very wounded, the father is very wounded, but their mother and father was very wounded, and their mother and father was very wounded. I always use the ATM machine metaphor, that you go to the machine and you know it doesn't have money in it, and you put your card in and you can't get money out, and you're screaming, I can't get money out of this machine, but you know it doesn't have any money in it. And I think of that with the parents who haven't done their own healing, well, or whatever. They're also that even sounds loaded, but I think of that with parents when we're trying to get what we need, and we can't get it. They don't have money in the machine, and you keep putting your ATM, just stop putting your card into the machine. But then having greater and greater compassion that for generations, this has been, women haven't been nurtured separate from their role. So how does she have it to give her daughter who's, venturing out into the world? So I think for me, yes, it brought, and I will be very honest, it's a in process thing. It's still in process. I was just watching Wayne Dyer tapping to trying to forgive somebody, and I thought, oh, okay, I need to do some damn tapping.
Yeah. And I like what you say there, because it makes me think of what Mika was saying right there when you're talking about the woo-woo thing, because early in my spiritual journey, it was very woo-woo, but then I became very narcissistic because I was hiding all of that crud up under my newly found juicer. And now I think that's why, because when you said the woo-woo thing, like I immediately was like, heck yeah, we're not doing the woo-woo, because that's where we go into the not judge. It's an unsafe place.
Yeah, and
Woo-woo is unsafe.
It's funny, Tiffany, this is my biggest complaint about my coaching industry right now, is if I'm going to be on top of the game, I have to show myself as pure. I am pure. You're coming to me for my purity. It gives me the heebies. And it's that narcissism. I never used the word narcissistic with it until when you just said that. I was like, that's what it is. And the rabbi I'm working with, we have deep spiritual discussions about the Judaic tradition. The Jewish tradition is there's no purity. In the Torah, it goes back, no one's holds purity. He's talking about Jacob and Esau. We're having these deep discussions, biblical discussions. And he's saying that the Christian notion of purity doesn't exist in the Jewish tradition. And I was like, yeah, that playing like you're pure is a absolute, I won't use the curse word I want to use, because the same for me, I couldn't grow. I couldn't grow if I had to pretend I have it together. How can I grow? Because I got to keep up the pretense. So is that what you're saying?
Then I want to admit that I'm assuming what you meant by woo-woo as well, right? Because for me, woo-woo is when it's like really flighty, and it becomes, because for me, it's like, so that's what I meant, but you might not have meant that. So I want to run that
and
back.
Also in every industry, including every industry, they're the people who kind of are trying to do it authentically, and then anyway. So every industry has a spectrum of how people are playing the game. So I hear you on many levels.
Got to keep a chicken in the pot, So once that's out of the way, then we can get down to the nitty gritty.
I love it. Take it in the pot. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
All right. Now, Frank, you've been silent, and Frank, you usually don't have a lot to say, but maybe you have something you want to say, right? And I see you, Kira. Don't worry, I see you. But Frank, go ahead. Frank, you.
Yeah, a very powerful story. Thank you for sharing it with us. That's it.
Oh, Frank, you always say so much.
Thanks, Frank. Thank you, Frank.
All right, Kira, it's up to you now, Kira.
Yeah, I wanted to yeah, I was getting frustrated, um, which I guess speaks to what sirens again. What I wanted to ask you, Caroline. I mean, first, the sirens right now. Okay, when I guess it doesn't come through so loud on your end. So I wanted to. Oh wait, Dan, I see you. I'd rather see Caroline. Caroline, um, so one, I really appreciate that you talk about that everybody's journey, or however you said it, is like just as valid. I appreciate that hugely because I don't hear that often. One, two, I kind of understand how much work it takes to get to humility because I've done tons of work and I've made a little bit of progress towards humility. And so in terms of when you're saying that you really are there and want the like genuinely want the best, and and the most healing for the person you're working with, do you think that also, like, so that's like nurturance, and care. Do you think that also, like, aggression, is also natural? This is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how, again, animals in the healthier situation, will nurture and care their own and be aggressive against, others, or potential predators or something. So it's like, I think that those are both, I think, just as natural, because I find, at least in this country, a lot of shaming for, not being not being just good or something inside that. And then so asking you about how you think that fits in, and also where you think psychedelics fit into spiritual opening.
Okay, Kira, you asked the best questions, honestly. So that's why I say anyway, spirit wants you to be you, because you being you, it's like I feel like I could take my knife and sharpen it in the asking the questions that are outside what I usually get at. I love it, honestly, because what I want to do is, if Dan, you'll let me, I want to talk about this really quickly. I got to find the picture. I want to talk about aggression. Oh, do I want to talk about aggression? What a great question. Let me get it real quick. I have to pop it up here. Come on, be easy. There it is. Oh, yes. Okay. So would
Do you want to share the screen?
Yeah, would you let me share the screen?
Go ahead, share the screen.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm getting there. Everyone else is so fast with this stuff. More, share. Okay, so I want to talk to you about aggression. This is one of my pieces of art. Can everyone see it? Okay, so one of the problems I have with the coaching industry, for me personally, this is my personal answer. I don't have a researched answer for you that's like got supporting materials, Kira, but my answer is I got tired of the coaching because I felt like I had to be too nice. And I am a, I contain multitudes of emotions. And so that's why I went towards the visual arts as well. And this is a current series I'm working on. It's called Bruised Goddess. And this is called Hear No Evil. And it's huge, huge canvas that I did in the yurt. So I absolutely believe that all of the emotions have to be honored. And if they need to be expressed, I don't have an answer, a blanket answer for the world. I really wish, that's the thing about my opening. I'm more and more like, I don't know. My God, I don't know. All the fires in LA. I was evacuated from a very scary wildfire in 2020 here in Oregon. I don't know the answer, but I do know tamping down any of the emotions is not going to be the journey, right? The aggression. And a lot of people say I have a lot of aggression because of the way I grew up. So I tend to channel it into my writing and my art. Does that answer that, Kira? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. So I'm doing a Bruised Goddess show in the woods here, a big production in March with all the paintings. But and then was there something else that you asked? I'm sorry, Kira, other than the aggression?
Psychedelics.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
do they fit into?
Yeah, it's, I feel like I don't know for other people. I think do it if you want. I don't have any idea for other people. For myself, I'm too sensitive. I'm already having a psychedelic trip every day. I used to do a lot of different stuff like that, but I don't anymore. But I absolutely understand it to be a tool for opening the consciousness. Absolutely. If, but anything can be also abused. But even then, it's not like I wouldn't be this way about it one way or another. So I hope that answers it. Thank you.
All right. Now, we have about 12 minutes left, Caroline. So I'm just gonna we're gonna go through everyone one at a time just to check in and see how they're feeling. We'll start with you, Caroline. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about all this?
Well, Dan, I also wanted to share something. Should I do that after we check in with the
No, do it
feelings
right
or
now.
no? Okay, okay. No, I just wanted to share, guys. I'm doing a free thing, and let's see if, oh, good. I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm just doing this free 5-day, one of those free 5-day Facebook events, and I'm going to take the tarot, one card. We're just going to take one card, and I'm going to show you how to get into the higher wisdom. It's free, and it starts next week. And I didn't plan to be giving this talk with it starting next week. It just happened that way, right, Dan? So I just want to invite you. Okay. Um, this is the High Priestess tarot card. And we're just going to have you pick your own tarot card, and I'm going to guide you through aligning with the archetype. Okay,
And
how I'm
oh, yes. Oh, and if you send me an email with this information, the links, I'll blast it out.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Thank you. Send
I
email.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Would you like just this group, or would you like the whole list?
I'm really opening it to anybody who feels like it would be helpful.
Okay.
I really want to, the call with the inauguration is that week as well. And I'm calling it the alternative inauguration, like we're inaugurating into spirit versus the other inauguration. So how I feel, I love the diversity in this group. It's very exciting, diversity in many levels. It's very exciting. I didn't know what to expect. I'm feeling like I could talk for hours. I find the questions were extremely interesting, and I thank you very much. It's always interesting to talk about it because some of the stuff that was asked put me outside of what I usually say. So it helped me expand my awareness. And I just hope that it was helpful to people too.
Beautiful. Thank you, Caroline. Mika, how are you feeling right at this moment?
Feeling more curious and also I guess energized is not the right word, but along the lines of being energized and continuing with some of the just remembering. I think remembrance is a really good word. I've been on that journey to remember the things I used to do and getting into just mining my spirit more. So I found this to be very fulfilling. Yeah. So
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Helen, you came late, but how are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. This connection with this wonderful lady, if you could put an email to me so I can also join in this, whatever she's offering would be very lovely. Thank you so much.
Yes, Helen, you will get an email, I promise.
Thank you.
Ananda, how are you feeling right now?
Feeling great. Love the group. Really value it.
Very good, very good. How about you, Bonnie? How are you feeling? Oh, I'll have to ask you to unmute. If you're with us, Bonnie, please tell us how you're feeling right now. All right, Bonnie is probably putting mayonnaise on a sandwich right now. How about you, Chaplain James? How you feeling? How are you doing right now?
I'm feeling truly enlightened.
Wow, I hope you can give us a ladder so we can get up there and reach you over there in enlightened land.
No, I want to fly away.
Oh, you're gonna leave us? You're not gonna teach us?
In time.
All right, well, I hope you fly back to teach us. Let's see, Frank, how are you feeling right now at this moment?
Okay, thanks.
All right, that's good. Kira, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Yeah, one, I mean, I understand, Dan, that you wanted everybody to have a chance to talk. So I know you had, you were being helpful, so I was just frustrated my own self. But well, okay. But so how am I feeling also? I think I'm feeling some difficult, somewhat a difficult feeling because, which in a healthy way, because I didn't expect to, I don't know how to say it, to learn so much and relate so much. And I didn't expect to be as less defensive as I was. So it's a little off kiltering, but in a healthy way.
Wow, that's like,
does that make sense?
it's a very honest answer, and I think when we can be honest with ourselves, that's the key to self-knowledge and self-healing for sure.
Yeah, I really appreciate yeah, everything, and also Caroline's present.
Very good, very good. John, how do you pronounce your last name, John?
It's Uge.
Ugi? Do you pronounce the G?
Yes, Uge.
Oogie, okay. So John Oogie, how are you
It's the G
feeling?
silent.
Oh, the G is
Yeah,
silent? Oh, it's Oohi?
yeah, the G silent. Yes.
Ooey.
Yeah,
Okay. So how are you feeling right now?
it's actually wonderful. The experience is wonderful. Diverse opinions and all of them. It's wonderful. I really enjoyed it.
Beautiful. I'm so glad you came, John.
Thank you so much.
Let's see. Tiffany, how are you feeling right now? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Oh my God, you're asking the host how they are?
Yeah. You
Well,
asked everyone else, so I'm asking you.
Well, when I'm a host, it's like I'd love to hang on every word of Caroline's, but I'm hosting, so I lose some of it. But I'm gonna review this video and I'm gonna watch everything and really absorb and enjoy Caroline's presentation. So that's my one regret. Like in hosting, you separate yourself sometimes from the content in order to do the hosting. I mean, you know how that goes, right? Anyway, but I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling good, and I'm looking forward to reviewing this video. So that's everybody, Caroline. Caroline, you want to close us out with some pearls of wisdom?
Okay, thank you. Yes, so I just want to reiterate that whoever you are and wherever you are and whatever you're doing is exactly right. And uniquely follow what interests you. And I say this passionately, even if it seems against your friend group or against society or against parents or even against your common sense, but you feel the call, look for anything that feels like when you look at it, it's lighter, it has a light around it, or it has a lighter feeling energy, and just follow what you know will nurture you, and it will look very, very unique to you. And that every single, don't go by standardized, don't let anyone tell you that there's a way to be or a way to think. The absolute variety of souls here, the absolute variety of ways of thinking is absolutely the whole point of this planet. The whole point of it is variety. So that's what I would leave it with, and trust it and let the soul embody. So what I see a lot of times is a person's soul is here and their body is kind of bigger than it. We want the soul to fully fill you up, fill you out, fill all of your fingers and your head and your feet. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But anyway, there's no standardized way. Follow your way.
Would you agree, Caroline, that our soul is a spicy concoction and that variety is the spice, and the spice and variety is the spice of life?
Yes, every time any voices aren't, so I'm part of the publishing industry, and a lot of times they have a lot of rules for getting into the publishing industry, and I don't like it because we need that level of variety. It's exciting. It's exciting to hear all of the different voices. So yes, it's the spice of everything, for sure.
Well, you heard it here, guys. If your life is a little bland, you can always add some variety and spice to it, you guys. And I think Caroline is recommending this in order to what, Caroline?
I think that the solutions for the future have to come from a lot of really different voices. I think the way the planet's going, and I have visions of it, we have to have different ways of thinking. And we have to have all of these different ways of thinking to come together, and they have to be outside the box. So that's why we need to have the variety for the future of the planet, truly.
All right. So hopefully variety will bring an enlightened perspective when because I believe the late Thich Nhat Hanh said the Buddha that is yet to arrive will appear in the Sangha, in the community. It'll be a community spirit and a community spirit with a variety of voices. The Buddha will possess that entire group. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you all